Hey, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity. Here we talk about beauty, entertainment, celebrities, books, movies, anime, TV shows, and kind of anything else that garners my attention this week. And today we're going to be talking about American Horror Stories because I have a lot of opinions and no one to tell them to. Before we get into the video, I just want to say a warning for spoilers. I have no ability to talk about something without spoiling it. 2, if you enjoyed stories, please continue to enjoy stories. I'm not making this video to make you change your mind, and the way I hope you don't get in the comment sections and try to make me change my opinion. If you like it, I love that for you. I just don't like it. But I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to talk my shit. So, American Horror Stories, which I will be referring to as stories so I don't mix it up with the main series, is a spinoff of AHS. Each anthology features a different horror story in each episode, so we're not supposed to look at stories as canon for AHS. It's just supposed to be a little standalone situation. Also, we were told that none of the episodes were connected, but after the 7th episode, we can tell that that's not really true, and I will definitely get back into that later. We also see a lot of AHS alums scattered through the episodes. Episodes 1, 2, and 7 have the strongest callbacks to the series because all 3 episodes take place at Murder House, which I have gripes about that, which we will get into later. The entire purpose of stories was to kind of tide fans over until the new season of AHS Double Feature, which should be coming out this week. By the end of this video, I will tell you whether or not I think it did a good job of like holding me over and getting me excited for Double Feature. I just want to say that like Double Feature has been the first time in a while I've been excited to see a season of AHS. I haven't fully finished a season since I think Freak Show. After that, like I'll start a season and then I'll just get to a place where I'm like, I'm good. I don't like where this is going, or it's just, it don't hold me. Like, I started Hotel, but I found Hotel way too sexual, and that wasn't fun for me, because I don't like watching white people have sex. Cult was a little too close to home, because we were living in Trump Nation, and I was like, this don't make me feel safe. This don't make me feel good. But I did stay long enough to watch Emma Roberts get gutted, and I appreciate that. Roanoke was Roanoke. Apocalypse was Apocalypse. The one, was it 1984? I think I'm getting that confused with Fear Street because they're both a year. Whichever one it was. I did not watch that. Didn't even attempt to watch that just because I knew that they were like romanticizing a serial killer, and I like a real serial killer. Like a lot of the killers in American Horror Story are based on real ones, but this was the first time where like by name this was that exact serial killer. It's like I'm not a white girl on Tumblr. I don't romanticize serial killers. I don't want to see a serial killer soft side. They're human. They've murdered people. I don't do that. I don't play that. So that's why I didn't watch the last season. So like coming into stories, I was really just trying to get myself back in the AHS like mindset and kind of like again get myself excited for the season, because Double Feature looks so interesting and I'm excited for it, and I haven't been excited for a season in a really long time. I think Stories was just a lot of wasted potential, especially once we get to the later episodes. I do think it would have been better if the episodes were an hour long, because I just feel like at the 40-minute mark we just needed 20 more minutes for Ryan Murphy and whoever was writing that episode to kind of fully flush out their ideas and fully get everything like set and done. Episodes 1 and 2 of Stories just felt like a discarded episode of AHS. Like they filmed it and they were like, yeah, these not really hitting, and they like tossed them aside. But they were like, oh, we have this like anthology series, let's do this and add these 2 episodes here. Also, they're the only episodes that like have a continue, and I feel like episode 1 really didn't have a reason to continue. If we're being fair, I think maybe like Feral deserved a second part. I think that is an episode that really could have done with having two parts so we can fully flesh things out, not episode one. I don't think like going back to Murder House, we need a second episode or third episode, which we're gonna get into that later. These first two episodes are, in my opinion, the least original stories out of all 7. I feel like they were just trying to cram as many like Easter eggs to Murder House and AHS as possible. And I feel like if we were gonna do a spin-off series, it just would have been better to have no connections to the original series at all. Because I like the idea of something fresh, new, and not really stuck in the limitations of AHS. But like these first 2 episodes didn't really get me excited because I just at first thought, are we just gonna like... Because it wasn't advertised to be a rehash or like be connected or canon at all. So I was like, if we're not gonna be canon, why take place in canon places? It just, for me, because I love Murder House. I think Murder House is probably one of the best seasons of American Horror Story. I think we all can agree with that. But still, it's just, I need Ryan Murphy to stop going back to Murder House. Because every time he does, he just fucks it up every single time. And it just gets worse and worse. And like, Stories is another great example of leave Murder House alone. Let's just move past it. Ooh, it just started raining. I wonder if you guys are able to hear it. We'll see when I edit, and I'm upset that you can hear rain over me. Episode 3 is much more original than the first 2 episodes, but it's still kind of boring. I don't know, maybe the pacing is kind of off. There's just something about episode 3 that like, it's good-ish. Potential, again, a lot of potential to be good, but not fully committed to being good. Because like the concept is really cool. This horror movie that turns this audience into the real monsters. I really do feel like that idea is really good. But like the execution in the episode kind of fell flat. Especially when we get towards the end. Because that's how these episodes feel. These episodes just kind of end. And you're just like there sitting, staring at your screen. Like, it doesn't feel whole and it doesn't feel complete. It doesn't feel like you've just gone through an entire story. Just by the end of each one of these episodes, you don't feel overwhelmed, you don't feel underwhelmed, you just feel whelmed. Episode 4 might just be the worst episode of AHS I've ever seen. I know some of y'all liked it for its like over campiness, but I think the campiness is what made me not like it, because it was campy in a way that wasn't fun. The episode was called like Bro House, which is supposed to be like a satire based on like the whole like house culture that we have from social media influencers like the Hype House and things like that. I think maybe it was hard for me to get into this episode because like the Bro House is like far too diverse for me to look at it as satire, because there is no way that a black man and an Asian man would be able to like participate in this type of fuck shit for however long they have been and not be canceled, right? Because these houses have like for every 10 white people, 1 person of color, just 1. Because black and brown people on social media do not garner the same type of attention as white influencers. Maybe that's why I had a hard time like getting into the episode, because I'm like, there ain't no way a black man and an Asian man would be participating in this foolishness for this long and not be canceled. Like, it would have taken way before this. If they were doing like frat bro shitty content, they would have been canceled. I think like the murders in episode 4 were probably the best, because maybe they just felt the more deserved, because we had 4 really douchey guys finally get what they deserve. But like outside of that, like the actual like episode was, I just viewed it as annoying. I wasn't entertained until they started dying, and I was like, oh, now something happening. But outside of that, like, again, it just kind of ended, and I was like, that was 40 minutes of my life. Episode 5, in my opinion, is where this show kind of starts to kick up a little bit. I think this is probably, for the first like 35 minutes, the best show of this season. I just noticed like between episode 5 and 6 that when like these are 2 episodes that dealt with adults, like actual grown adults and like adult issues, and those were the episodes where like I feel like this season was really in its bag. All the episodes that kind of pertain to teenagers, wasn't really feeling it. The acting wasn't always so great. But here we have 2 good episodes, 5 and 6, where like the acting is solid. There's no way you can say episodes 5 and 6 that the acting is not top notch, not great. But I really enjoyed episode 5 because we were dealing with grown people. I feel like Ryan Murphy is at his best when he's dealing with grown people, just because I don't like watching teenagers have sex. Even if they're actually 40-year-old people pretending to be teenagers, just the idea that this person is supposed to be underage. I'm at that age of 23 where like 17-year-olds have not been in my demographic for a real long time, but especially not right now. Episode 5 is about a couple who is dealing with fertility issues, and the wife gets desperate, and this woman offers her a fertility totem, tells her to put it under the bed when they have sex, and she will have a baby. She did it, and now the fertility god that helped her get a baby is out to take this baby from her. Lo and behold, it's actually her husband and his friends trying to make her go crazy so he can have her money. Then there is the twist where Ball is actually real and he kills all the husband's friends and leaves him alive so he can take the fall for it. This episode was going so good, like from beginning to like the middle. Then we get the twist and it's like, holy shit, right? Like Ball is actually fucking real and he done murked everybody. And like we're winding down to like the last 5 minutes and I'm just like, yo, might be the best episode of the season. But we get to the end and we see the wife with the baby, you know, she's won in the end. And then Ball appears to her and he's like, I did what you wanted, set me free. And then we get this diarrhea of exposition where she's explaining the plan of what she did to Ball, which doesn't make any sense. Why would she need to explain it to Ball? Ball already did it. So we can tell that like she's actually supposed to be talking to us, and I don't like that. I don't like being spoken to like I'm stupid. I don't understand like why couldn't we have just gotten the flashback instead of having her explain it to Ball? Like that just did not make any sense to me. Why the plan had to be like explained to the person that carried out the plan. Like you simply could have just gave us a flashback when she was like driving back from seeing her husband in prison, like her maybe left. Just anything but her explaining this to somebody that would actually know what's going on. It just made me feel like I was being spoon fed, and like that kind of killed the episode for me. Because the episode was going so good until we hit that point. Episode 6 is another episode that has a really good start, but has absolutely no payoff at the end. It's about this family that goes to a national park for a little vacation. The son actually goes missing, and now the media is paying the parents out to have murdered their son. The parents actually do end up getting a divorce from all the stress and strife of it all. And then the husband gets approached by this hunter that says that he's seen his son roaming around the forest. And he shows him a picture of what would be his son, maybe around 13 years old, and as well as this compass that the boy had. Now, the father and the wife go off to the forest with the hunter to go find their son. Come to find out that the hunter did not find their son, and they were actually working with the cartel to kill the parents and take their money. But before that could happen, these like humanoid monster type things, like devolved primitive humans, actually wipe out the cartel and then rip out the hunter's throat. Right. We're getting good. The parents run to the ranger station, who explains to them that like the whole purpose of national parks is to like hide these like devolved human monster things that are cannibals. A group of those things break into the ranger station. They kill the the ranger, the parents are able to escape while they're like tearing that man apart. And they're running and running and they're being chased until they come upon this throne. And on that throne is actually their son. And the creature things surround them. And then we hear like a bit of dialogue between the son and one of the creature things. He asks the son, who are these people? Because they can tell they seem to know him. And the son just responds, dinner, and they attack them. And that's the end of the episode. I think I've made it sound, like the ending sound more interesting, but like again, it just kind of ended there. And it was like, all of this, because like the episode was getting good, right? And I realized we had like 5 minutes left, and I was like, we're not gonna get a satisfying ending. And I don't know, that ending just didn't satisfy me. This, like I said earlier, this was the episode that needed a second part. I think we should stop at the parents like running into the son, and then the second episode explaining what the fuck happened, like him being kidnapped, why they didn't eat him, how they turned him into a king of like all of these like humanoid monsters, getting more history about these like devolved humans that cannibalize. And then at the end of the episode, we go back to them converging at the throne and the son being like their dinner. I think that would have been way better. And because it just kind of ends, because I think the issue that's happening with these one-off episodes is they leave a lot more questions than we're getting answers, because I wanted to actually know more, but I know I'm not going to know more. It just ended right there. Now on to episode 7, my second least favorite episode of this long season. So we start off with this couple who, so I guess in the universe of stories, AHS is an actual show, right? Because we have these 2 characters who are super fans of the show, and they have stayed at, because American Horror Story is a location-based show, so they like film in specific places, and this couple has visited each significant place from these seasons, and now they've come to what house? Murder House. I hate Murder House now. What I view as like a callback to episodes 1 with the 2 fathers, the Murder House has officially now been turned into a bed and breakfast, and these couple are now staying there to, you know, experience, you know, the spookiness of Murder House. And as we're going, we're seeing like different people that are stuck in the house wandering through. We see the red ball. We see all the stuff, you know, that would bring us back to Murder House, until they go down to the basement and they see these 3 girls who are locked down there, who came 10 years ago during Halloween, and they've been murdered. And that doesn't make any sense, because where were they episodes 1 and 2 if they were murdered 10 years ago? And then we see the infantata attack them, and then they're killed by like the clown and the pig guy, who don't belong in Murder House. I don't think they've ever set foot in Murder House. And then that's when we realize that this is actually not real life, but inside of a video game. Video game made by a mother whose son is a huge fan of American Horror Story. So she wanted to make him a game in order to like connect with him, which would explain a lot of the inconsistencies seen in the video game, because it seems like she didn't watch it. She just like read the wiki pages for it and then like put shit together. And with this, like trying to connect with her son through AHS again by making a game and not actually watching it with him, she quit her job and then mortgaged her house in order to like fund this game, which I feel like is a huge leap, because like the son said, you could have just watched the show with him instead of quitting your job, mortgaging the house, and making a video game. That seemed a little drastic in my opinion. Felt like you skipped a lot of steps to get there. There's a lot of things you could have did, like watch the show again. She does not watch the show because we see in the episode that she binge watches like the first episode, like the first episode. She binge watches the first season, and then she actually goes and like purchases the murder house. So the mother's name is Michelle. She buys the house, and then she returns to it on Halloween to kind of learn the secrets of the house. Now, as she's there, she sees a bunch of people like walking, clearly walking out of the house, dressed like the people stuck in Murder House. And for some reason, she just thinks they're super fans. But then it's like, babes, how'd they get in the house? You should be the only one with the key. And that's not worrying to you. Also, we have Scarlett come back because Halloween is the one time a year she comes back to see Ruby. At first, I was kind of confused why just once a year she'd come back to see Ruby. But then I thought about it, and like probably because the other occupants of the home could possibly try to kill Scarlett. So maybe that's why, because Halloween is the one time a year where they get to leave the house. And so the likelihood of anyone staying back and killing her is a lot lower. Then in the home, she meets a crying Ben who explains to her that there is no purpose of this home, because it's what she wants to do. She wants to find out the meaning of this home and why people get trapped here. And Ben's very much so like, there is no purpose. We're just here, reliving it day after day, the monotonous of it all. There truly is no purpose. Michelle actually ends up getting murdered by Scarlett and Ruby and then being trapped inside the house. We get a time skip for like a year, so it's the next year Halloween, and Michelle is speaking to her son, and the son decides that like the only way to like set the spirits free is set the house on fire, because fire purifies everything. So he goes to the home, he starts pouring gasoline everywhere, and Ruby goes to try to stop him, but the other ghosts are sick of it. They're sick of being alive forever, and they just want to move on. So they kill her, but before she texts Scarlett, and Scarlett rushes back to the home. Unfortunately, Scarlett is too late, and the son actually does end up burning the house down. Now we then get a 3-year time jump, and now like the plot of land that the murder house is on has been turned into a bunch of condos, and we see Scarlett, you know, trying to buy one, and she asks the guy like, do you tell like your clients like what used to be here, that this used to be the murder house and a bunch of people died here? And he was like, none of my clients see any ghosts, none of my clients have died, so I just decided to tell anybody. So clearly Scarlett has bought this house and to try to like find Ruby and reconnect with Ruby. So we see her like sit in the bathtub and call Ruby, because that seems to be the place they go for privacy, the bathtub. But Ruby doesn't show up, and then as Scarlett is laying in bed to go to sleep, Scarlett pops back up. Now this is when Scarlett says something that makes absolutely no fucking sense to me, where she said like, when the house burned down, not everyone wanted to move on, but they did. But she didn't, because she didn't want to move on. And that doesn't make any sense to me. If like Scarlett was not the only one that was not ready to move on, why did the ones that didn't want to move on? Was the power of love that strong? And then they kiss, and then we get a bunch of bloody confetti. And wow, all of that was just a video game. The mother redid the game, and she fixed it all. The son, of course, had like notes to add, but like for the most part, he really liked it. So basically, everything from Michelle buying the home onward was not real life, but the video game. But at the end of the episode, we did see the red ball roll through Michelle's living room. Don't know why, but okay. This episode definitely felt like Ryan Murphy and Brad were like mocking the fans. Basically saying, y'all gonna have all these thoughts, opinions, and feelings, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, this is our fucking show, and we're gonna do whatever bullshit we want to do, because that is the only way to explain how bad this episode was, and how sloppy, and how like unput together it all was, because there were just so many things that made absolutely no sense, right? So like the realtor did mention that like 9 people died in that house, right? But we only see 4 people that had died in the first 2 episodes, which was the girls that like bullied Scarlett, which that whole bullying shit is so funny to me. It's not funny, like bullying is not funny, but like to bully Scarlett, like Paris Jackson's character Maya pretended to be like lesbian, and it seems like her and Scarlett may have done something, and I'm just like, babes, you was bumping coochies for a prank? Like, you was willing to like be in your scissor season just to prank somebody? Okay, cool, whatever, we gonna move past that. But we have those 4 girls in this episode, and that happened in stories. Those 9 people did not die in AHS. So why in a fan game would you include people that died in real life? That just seems really rude and disrespectful to the families and to the victims. Adding them to the game doesn't make any sense. If you're making a like Murder House like fan game, including real life people, that seems very disrespectful. That's my opinion. And then also in the game portion, we have the whole romance with Scarlett and Ruby. How would Michelle even know that there was romance between Ruby and Scarlett? Like, after her father died and the 9 bodies were found, Scarlett just dipped. So how would anybody have any idea that Scarlett had any type of relationship with one of the ghosts? And like, you see how that does not make any sense? Like, it absolutely makes no sense how Michelle could have known that. Then that begs to question, was episodes 1 and 2 just part of the video game? But I don't like that I have all of these questions and I'm super confused to the point where I'm angry. Like, I'm not confused because like Ryan Murphy and Brad did a really good job. I'm confused because they did a bad job and nothing was really explained, and like the universe of this episode is super wonky, and if you look at it too hard, just everything just starts to fall apart. And it's just like, why would you do this other than just say fuck you to fans? Because it's so like almost intentionally messy and like intentionally don't make any sense. Like, if we're in a video game, why are we doing like 6-month time jumps, a year time jump, 3-year time jumps? Like, we're in a game. Why do we have like, why is time progressing like this? Like, what? It don't make no sense. It just when you look at it too hard, it just falls apart. This entire season was Ryan Murphy having a lot of really good ideas and then them being poorly executed. I have been told that like there is a second season. I don't understand how it got a second season, but I did find out that like season 1 was ordered to have like 20 something episodes, but as you can see, we only did 7. So I think little conspiracy, little tin hat, is that as they were like in production for this, I think they realized that like this shit wasn't good, and if they did all 20 episodes, they were not going to get a second season. And so they strategically split the season up into 2 parts to ensure they get a second season, because they were ordered to do a specific amount of episodes. So by splitting it up, they were forced to get a second season. That's just like tin hats, Chastity, a little conspiracy, because it does not make any sense why anyone, after seeing the response to this season, give it a second one. Because there's a lot of negativity. A lot more negativity than I think like Ryan Murphy is used to. Like stories might be like the most like least liked thing that Ryan Murphy has ever done. Like I've just never seen so many people just be like, no, this is not good. Like I see a lot more negativity about stories than I see positivity, which again with Ryan Murphy's name attached to it is not normal. And I do feel like that's why they split up this season, because why would a Ryan Murphy show not get a second, third season, you know? It looks bad if a Ryan Murphy show doesn't live past season 1. So that's what I think is going on, because there's no way, after the poor response that I've seen surrounding stories, it to be greenlit for a second season. It truly don't make any sense. I do feel like Ryan Murphy is like spreading himself thin. Like he's been ordered like what, 4 more seasons of AHS, another season of stories, then there's like American like sports stories, then there's like American true crime stories. Like he's doing like 50 things at once, and I feel like because he's spread so thin, he's not really able to give like compelling stories the way he used to, because he's doing 50 shows at one time. And I feel like his shows are, especially like AHS, is suffering for it. Again, we have to see how Double Feature comes out, because it does look good, but like a lot of Ryan Murphy stuff, like especially AHS, it always starts off very strong, but like I always fall off towards the end. So we'll see. So the question from the beginning of the video: did stories get me excited for Double Feature? And the answer is no. I was actually super excited for Double Feature at the beginning of the month, but now today, August 23rd, I am so nervous and I'm so hesitant to watch Double Feature, because Stories has given me no confidence. It did not tide me over in a good way. I'm nervous. I'm scared that Double Feature is going to be bad. Like, I'm scared, because this was a terrible adventure. A terrible, terrible one. What a horrible time. What a horrible time these last like 3-4 weeks have been. God. Yeah. I'm not excited. I think now I'm going into Double Feature with absolutely no expectations. None. Because I'm terrified that any expectation would lead me to tragedy. And I don't think Stories was supposed to do that, but it did. I have no self-confidence in the new season. I mean, it's a good thing. Maybe I'll enjoy it more if I think it's going to be terrible, and then like it like pleasantly surprises me. I will not be reviewing this season if you guys think I might. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do episode by episode, because that means I have to hold myself to something, and ooh, I don't like that. I don't like hold myself down to nothing. I'm sorry. If I were to do like episode by episode, I think then I'd have to make a Patreon, because I'm not gonna be like holding myself to something like that every single week for YouTube. That ain't gonna happen. So that's it for my video. What were your guys' thoughts and opinions of Stories? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you like? What did you didn't like? What was the best episode? What was the worst episode? Do you also want to never see Murder House again? Or is that just me? Am I the only person that doesn't want to go back? Because I don't want to go back, because every time we do, we just ruin it. And I just stop ruining a good thing and let's just move past it. Song of the day is Peloton by IDK. But before we leave, this past week, I've watched, like I said, American Horror Stories, but I also watched Brand New Cherry Flavor. I watched The Chair, and I watched Sweet Girl. So if you guys like a review on any of those things I watched, sound off in the comment section, and I will try to get a video up about any of those 3 things in the coming week and a half. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys!